Hello, I'm Mark Ells, Town Manager of Barnstable, and I'm here to provide my Town Manager's update for the period of November 15th through December 6th. We're proceeding with the budget action calendar for FY 2025, and I'm attaching that action calendar again so that all councilors will have a copy of it. It's what we're going to be following as we go from December through till June and move through the budget review and approval process. As a reminder, the town manager's calendar year fee hearing was held on Tuesday, November 14th. The proposed calendar year fees have been taken under advisement and comments will be accepted through Thursday, December 14th. After December 14th, the town manager will either approve the fees as proposed, reduce the proposed fees, or not approve the fees, leaving the current fees unchanged. And you can find all that information on our town website, on the town manager webpage. Mark Milne, Finance Director, and Lane Partridge, Director of Assessing, presented the proposed tax levy shifting options for the fiscal year 2024 tax levy to the Town Council at the November 16th meeting. This includes an option to split the tax rate between the residential class of property and the commercial, industrial, and personal property taxes, referred to as the CIP. This option allows for shifting a larger portion of the tax levy to the CIP class from the residential class. The presentation included an illustration of the tax levy and the tax bill's impacts from the adoption of a residential exemption. This option shifts the tax burden within the residential class from owners of moderately valued residential properties to the owners of vacation homes, higher value homes, and residential properties not occupied by the owner. The votes on both these items are scheduled for December 7th at the Town Council meeting. These votes are necessary to set the fiscal year 2024 tax rate and to issue the third and fourth quarter tax bills by December 1st, 2023. The public comment period to weigh in on the proposed dog control regulation is open until Friday, December 8th. To date, we've received over 80 comments that are both positive and negative. The staff has been reviewing the comments and responding to questions. Once the comment period is closed, the town manager will take the comments under advisement, evaluate potential revisions to the dog control regulation language, and ultimately, adopt, modify, or leave as is. Eversource is proposing to modify electric infrastructure located in Bourne, Sandwich, and Barnstable. The following project changes would enable the operation of a previously approved transmission line between Bourne and Barnstable, known as the Mid-Cape Reliability Project. The proposed project includes operating and interconnecting the lines between Bourne and Barnstable, expanding the West Barnstable substation for operation, constructing a new switching station in Bourne. The Siting Board conducted a public comment hearing on November 14th. The town legal department attended the hearing and filed written comments on November 28th. The comments will be attached to my town manager report, and we'll keep the town council advised of this proposed project as it proceeds through the permitting process. In response to a question that I received from a town councilor relative to the Park City Wind Energy Facilities Siting Board permitting process, I offer the following response prepared by our legal department. And it actually steps back a little bit and brings us forward through this Energy Facilities Siting Board permitting process. The Vineyard Wind and Park City Wind projects initially were being advanced by the same project proponent as one project with two phases. Phase 1 from Covell's Beach to Independence Park, and Phase 2 from Covell's Beach to the Oak Street substation. The town had intervened in the Vineyard Wind on phase one before the Energy Facility Siting Board and expended significant staff resources pushing back on what were seen at the time as key issues for the town. As the contested hearings before the EFSB approached on the original Vineyard Wind petition, the town and Vineyard Wind successfully concluded weeks of difficult negotiations of a host community agreement. And the host community agreement covered phase one, which was in the permitting process at the time, and clearly contemplated phase two, a subsequent phase. The town council authorized the town manager to sign the Vineyard Wind HCA, and the HCA essentially served as a comprehensive settlement agreement outside of the ESB proceedings, which resolved all issues between the parties. It addressed the key concerns of the town to protect Nantucket Sound by banning any wind projects in the sound from using Vineyard Wind cables to connect to the grid. It also required the parties to develop protocols to maximize protection of groundwater from a potential release of hazardous materials at the electric substation. While the containment and mitigation commitments secured in the Vineyard Wind HCA may seem common sense measures now, at the time, there was no guarantee that they would be secured in the state permitting process. In fact, the ESFB had rejected the town's objections to a prior project, the Cape Wind projects, relevant to containment design in that project. The Vineyard Wind HCA helped avoid unknown outcomes associated with the EFSB hearing process and allowed the town to secure contractually what it might not have achieved otherwise. The Vineyard Wind HCA was signed in October of 2018 and then filed in the EFSB case. It required the town to support the Vineyard Wind project. The Vineyard Wind and the town agreed that the town would not pursue objections to the project at the EFSB. Thereafter, the town did not take any continuing formal role as an intervener in the Vineyard Wind hearings. When Vineyard Wind announced on November 19, 2021, that the phase two of the project had been handed off to the Park City Wind project, the parties agreed that a separate HCA specific to the Park City Wind project would be signed given that Vineyard Wind and Park City Wind were two separate companies. In recognition of the fact that the first HCA had originally contemplated two phases of one project, the town did not attempt to renegotiate the HCA with Park City Wind. A separate HCA was prepared that was closely modeled on the Vineyard Wind HCA, primarily changing the name of the developer to Park City Wind and relocating the landfall to the west end of Craigville Beach at the suggestion of the town. The town council authorized the town manager to sign the Park City Wind project, and the town manager signed it in May of 2022. Like the Vineyard Wind HCA, the Park City Wind HCA required the town to support the Park City Wind project before all agencies. As with the Vineyard Wind, it expected that the town would not further engage in the EFSB process. The town's participation in the Vineyard Wind case was resolved through an HCA that had favorable terms for the town. The town got what it wanted, avoided a repeat of years of litigation experienced in the Cape Wind matter, and the Park City Wind HCA was essentially treated as an extension of the Vineyard Wind HCA. In both cases, the town agreed to support the project. Active participation and intervention in the EFSB hearings didn't seem necessary after executing the host community agreement. But there have been unanticipated changes in the offshore wind industry and to the Park City Wind project since then, for which intervener status may have been useful. Going forward, particularly with Commonwealth Wind, a project that the town currently does not support and for which there is no host community agreement, we will absolutely file for intervener status as soon as it is feasible to do so. Hope that answers the question relevant to why have we, within the last 30 days, filed intervenor status on the Park City wind project so late in the process. Legal will be there to address any additional questions as they are, or they serve in that capacity for the town under my oversight. The town is contracted with consultants to assist with the development and implementation of a public outreach program relevant to the use of opioid funds that we received from drug manufacturers and distributors. To date, we've received about $379,000, and we expect to receive more over the next decade to come. A design team consisting of the chair of the Human Services Committee, Deputy Chief of Police, Hyannis Fire Chief, Inspectional Services Director, the Town Communication Director, and the Barnstable Public School Director of Social and Emotional Learning and Student Services has been created to work with the consultant. In order to carry out this work in a way that is effective, long-lasting, and meaningful for the town of Barnstable, the consultant, along with the design team, will work closely together from start to finish. Their first meeting was conducted on November 21st. They will meet weekly or bi-weekly as needed to plan and execute the efforts of this process. This group will be responsible for honing the process and determining if other elements of the events are needed and how these efforts will roll out. Some important actions the consultant and design team will implement include identifying key stakeholders, developing a communication strategy, and conducting public meetings in the form of workshops and focus groups. The first public meeting is expected to occur in January of next year. And we'll keep you advised and notify you as these efforts progress. The Department of Public Works contractors plan to begin site preparation and sewer installation on West Main Street from Route 28 to Strawberry Hill Road on Friday, December 8th. The anticipated duration of the work is 3 weeks, but that's to be determined. The first day of work will require a single lane alternating traffic before transitioning to full road closures during working hours, which are 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. At the end of the day, the roads will reopen. Local residents and emergency access will be maintained throughout the construction project with traffic control on site to assist. Businesses on West Main Street will remain accessible via Route 28. Additional information about the Route 28 East Sewer Expansion Project and the town's comprehensive wastewater management plan can be found on the town's website at barnstablewaterresources.com. There is other information on the website, in e-news, on the town's Facebook, the My Barnstable mobile app, and through the town's Ways for City partnerships. So we'll try to communicate through every means to all, especially heading into the holiday season. The town of Barnstable has been awarded Community of the Year by the Massachusetts chapter of the American Planning Association. The recognition is given annually to a municipality that provides an outstanding contribution to the field of planning. The Planning and Development Department's efforts in support of the ongoing revitalization of downtown Hyannis were noted, including drafting comprehensive revisions to the zoning ordinance. The Massachusetts chapter of the American Planning Association enhances and supports planning in Massachusetts through education, advocacy, outreach, communication, and provisions of service and resources to planning communities. Congratulations, Planning and Development, and all others who supported them in their efforts. At this time, I'll ask Elizabeth Jenkins, Director of Planning and Development, to provide us with an update on the local comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Jenkins, Director of Planning and Development, with your December update on the Barnstable Local Comprehensive Plan. As a refresher, the Barnstable Local Comprehensive Plan is an effort to define a long-term vision for our community by anticipating and guiding the rate of new development and coordinating it with capital facilities. A local comprehensive plan defines the unique values that we seek to protect and encourages balanced economic development. The town has been approaching the local comprehensive plan in 2 updates. We have concluded phase 1, which resulted in a long-range vision statement for the town of Barnstable, as well as a comprehensive set of existing conditions mapping where we're at today from a land use perspective. In phase 2 of the process, we've broken down our land use issues into a number of chapters, including general land use questions and housing, natural resources, facilities and infrastructure, economic development, and cultural and heritage and design. And our local comprehensive planning committee will be tackling each one of these chapters as we move through the process. Generally, the work plan for the next year or so for our local comprehensive planning committee involves introducing each one of these topic areas, bringing in both staff and subject matter experts in to speak to, again, existing conditions and on the ground relative to each one of these issue areas, drafting actionable goals and strategies, looking forward in terms of where we want to be in the future, finalizing those chapters, bringing them forward to the public for comment, and at the end, putting together an action plan with performance measures. Again, the goal being both a written and a map-based land use policy plan that looks forward the next 10 to 20 years for the town of Barnstable. At our last local comprehensive planning committee, which happened at the end of November, we spent some time reflecting on existing land use policy in the town of Barnstable, and how the policies we do have related to growth reflect on a geographic level in the town of Barnstable. This is our current strategic land use map that was included in our 2010 local comprehensive plan. We talked about our broad land use strategy that we have in the town of Barnstable, which is really a smart growth strategy that looks at directing new growth and investment into areas that are served by public infrastructure and away from areas with sensitive natural resources. So the graphic that you see shows the regulatory response to that, which is the designation of the Hyannis Growth Incentive Zone, as well as the designation of the Resource Protection Overlay District in our western villages, which limits new development of residential lots to 2 acres in size. Again, our primary growth center right now for the town of Barnstable is that downtown Hyannis Growth Incentive Zone, an area in our local comprehensive plan that's clearly designated for growth. And that designation that was put forward in our 2010 comprehensive plan has been supported over the last several years with efforts such as the reauthorization of the growth incentive zone and the downtown Hyannis rezoning that was adopted earlier this year. We spoke at the last local comprehensive planning committee meeting about other land use designations, including our regional economic center, which is also designated for growth, and some of the planning tools that we've used over the last 10 years to further that general policy. We talked about our village centers. And the current designation in the LCP as designated for redevelopment as may be appropriate. to strengthen business mix and keep the community centers as a traditional place for our communities to gather, and reviewed some of the village rezoning efforts that have happened over the past 10 to 12 years in those areas. And we talked about sort of the biggest category of land use that we have in the town of Barnstable, which are our single family residential zones, and some of the changes that we've seen there, including adoption of the accessory dwelling unit ordinance in 2021. And thinking about some of the other policies and plans that have been adopted since 2010 that are influencing our decision making on land use going forward, including implementation of our comprehensive wastewater management plan. So at our last local comprehensive planning committee, we asked our committee, as well as members of the public that attended, to think about these general geographic areas and answer some questions. How are we doing today in terms of growth and policy making, in terms of holding up the standards that were in the 2010 plan? Looking forward, how do we create a future that's consistent with the vision statement that the local comprehensive plan put together? What does a healthy, safe, inclusive, and equitable future look like within each one of these geographic areas? And what threats and opportunities are present that that might be keeping us from that ideal future? This was the exercise we engaged in at our last local comprehensive planning committee. We invite everybody to join us at our next meeting, which is December 14th at 5:30 in the hearing room, where we're going to summarize and present the results of that meeting for feedback by the committee, and eventually adoption into a land use chapter, which we're going to continue to revisit throughout our local comprehensive planning committee process. You can always stay up to date on the Barnstable LCP update at barnstablelcp.com. Please take a look. We continually update this resource. We've included some graphics that outline what the remainder of our process is going to look like. And periodically, we're going to be kicking off an effort to post survey questions to our public on each one of these chapters as we go through our process. So again, please tune in, barnstablelcp.com, and that is my update for December. Thank you.